So we're going to stop right there. That's about halfway through chapter 2. We're going to finish the rest tomorrow. Um, yeah. So tell me, you could go ahead and tell me what your thoughts are about what we read so far. And I know I agree with him in terms of being impeccable with your word. As it being the most difficult one to honor just because of the domestication, the training that we went through, and growing up. You're trained and taught in our society to give your opinion, and in reality, your opinion doesn't really matter, especially if it's not that of a good opinion. If it's a negative opinion, then it's pointless. But we like to use freedom of speech as a supporting argument as to why opinions matter and why you should give your opinion and things like that. Like, I mean, they even have a whole group called critics that critique people's creative expressions, whether it's a movie, mostly movies, or a book or whatever. And they say, critics say, and if that critic can say something nice, then, you're doing well. But typically those critics criticize and say something negative, it's just interesting. So, but while, applying this process, is important to keep in mind that when you're impeccable, you take responsibilities for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. And I believe we talked about that last time. But you take responsibility, but you do not judge or blame yourself. And at the same time, he says, people who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they do. That is why we must forgive them. They do not know what they do. It's a programming. It's a program. It's a program. They don't know. They don't realize. So it says it's the first agreement, but it's the most difficult one, because of just how our world, or how this hell is created. It's created based off the black magic through the word. It's created that way. So that's why it is the most difficult, but you just do your best every day, which is that, doing your best is one of the agreements, which we'll get to, but you just do the best you can. And the more you're aware, you make an adjustment. You just make an adjustment, and focus on being truthful and honest. When you stick to telling the truth, then you can be impeccable with your word. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your word. Like the example gave with the mother and the daughter. The truth is the mother had a bad day and she was tired. So sticking with her truth, she would have been able to communicate that through her word to her daughter. And I think that's easy for all of, that is something that all parents can go through. Not even parents, but even in a relationship or with somebody, you can be agitated and you just snap, because you're caught up in whatever it is that you're caught up in. And you just do your best. You just do your best. Okay, Brittany, I'm working on this in my life right now, casting out all the black magic that I've accepted as mine. Yeah, just do the best you can each day. I know for me, it takes me being aware, more and more aware, especially with my children. My thing is when I master it, and when I master it there, then I know I can master it in other situations. For me, I take the responsibility of teaching my children very personal, and I take it to heart, and it's something that I know I can adjust, and just trust the process and know that everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to work out, and they're going to get what they need. And that's something I've been working on for a while, and I'm getting better and better. I'm actually proud of myself, I'm going to be honest. Very proud of myself. Just because of how I was raised and how I was domesticated, and how the women and the men in my family raised me. They were very strict. They were very strict. They're very strict. You better not embarrass them. You better not go nowhere and make them look crazy. Don't embarrass them. That was the number one thing. Don't embarrass them. So, and embarrassing them could mean, being yourself. Being yourself and being free in a moment might be embarrassing to them. So, that was how I was raised. And I'm not just talking about my parents. I'm just talking about my family in general. Like, just don't embarrass them. Don't embarrass the family. Don't do anything embarrassing. So, that was what was ingrained in me, which is, of course, it came up when I started parenting. And I just do the best I can and get better and better. And I am better. I'm amazing. I had banned my sons from playing a game, and they were insistent on playing this game. So they were sneaking and doing it, etc., right? And I have this awareness that, if we truly desire to do something, there's something there for you. You know what I mean? That's your spirit guiding you there. Now, yes, they need to learn rules, but it was something about this game I could intuitively pick. Like, I'll put rules about other stuff and they wouldn't do this. So I went and did research. I researched the game, asked my gamer friends, and I'm like, what's going on with this? Like, explain this to me. And it was like, oh, it's not that bad. If you let them watch Power Rangers, then playing that game is nothing. Like, it's really not that bad as you think it is. It's not as gory. It's not bad. I'm like, okay. So I went back and had a conversation with them and said, hey, listen, I know I had the rule about this, but I went and did my research. I started learning more about it, and I realized that I had a different perception, and my perception was wrong about it, and that it's not as bad as I thought it was. So now I want to allow you to experience this, because I know it's something that you want to do. You have friends. This is what your social life is right now, being that we're in quarantine. So, I had that conversation with them and just showed them. And I realized that the biggest lesson that I would like to teach my sons is growth. I don't want to seem like a perfect person or a perfect parent. I don't want to act perfect. I don't want to act like I don't do anything wrong or anything like that. I want to show them how you grow and the tools you need to grow and what you do to educate yourself and the kind of conversation you have. And that, more than anything, is what I want to portray to them as a mother. Is I want them to see me grow as a person. Being aware helps me realign my shoulders and head throughout the day. Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. So, this book is good every time. Fourth time around, it's still, this is why it's officially my favorite book, because it's good stuff. Be impeccable with your word. But now I understand why it could be the hardest. Like, I noticed, I feel like I noticed it before, but now I really understand why it can be the hardest agreement to keep